You actually have excellent timing with this question because I was just showing my apprentice this the other day. Come on back and I'll show you too. Whenever diagnosing any game problem, remember the acronym ASAP. Always start at power. Every game needs clean, consistent voltage to work properly. We're going to take a look here at my Cruis'n Exotica, which is going to be very similar to your Cruis'n USA. First, you need a multimeter. You don't need a fancy fluke like this one. You can use a $10 one from Harbor Freight. It'll do the job. What we are going to measure is DC voltage, which is going to be this setting right here. This is the sign for DC voltage. It even says so right here on the display, DC. 99 times out of 100, the logic supply on your board is going to be run by the positive 5 volts DC supply on your power supply. There are 2 important points to remember. Do not measure here at the power supply, measure here at the board. And do not measure with this disconnected, measure it while it's powered on and under load. You have your 2 leads here. Your black needs to be connected to ground. Ground can be anywhere. In this case, I just have it connected to the pin here at the power supply. Red needs to be here at the edge connector. It's even labeled conveniently here on this JAMA harness. Now I'm going to show you why you measure it at the edge connector and not down here at the power supply. Measuring down here at the power supply, we have a measurement of 5.21. However, measuring here at the edge connector, we have about 5.16. You'll notice that there's a drop of about 0.05 between the two. This is important because this is what the board is actually getting. For an even more accurate reading, you can actually read the voltage at one of the pins on one of the chips, but you can see that's not really much of a difference from the edge connector, so you don't really need to go out of your way for this. Now, as a general rule, you want your voltage at the board under load at the edge connector to be about 5.05 to 5.15. So measure there at the board under load and adjust your power supply accordingly. If your voltage is a little bit too low, you might be experiencing the problems that you're having now, where the game resets, or you could have issues, glitches, resetting, things like that. If your voltage is too high, your game might work, but your circuits are slowly being cooked and it'll lower the life expectancy of those components. If your power supply is on the way out, it can have an issue where the voltage is initially sufficient, but it starts to dip down over time. So the game boots at first until the 5 volt goes down far enough so that it starts to have issues. It'll reset, which usually resets the power supply too, kicks the voltage back up, and it starts to play again just fine, and it just starts to cycle with the same issue over and over. Easiest way to test that is to hook a multimeter up to it and see if the voltage starts to dip down. If that is your issue, replacing the power supply will usually fix it. So, long story short, hook up a multimeter to your power supply and see if your voltage is sufficient. If it's not, adjust it. And keep an eye on it, and if it dips down over time, replace it. Got any more arcade-related questions? Feel free to ask me in the comments.